All right, another Josh cast. We're going to do one today, which is what I do when I'm running late and I don't get up early enough. I was struggling sleeping. I did not sleep well last night. I was getting into an argument with myself about being lonely, because usually what I do every night is I'll fantasize that I'm with a girlfriend who lets me cry in her lap. That's how I go to sleep. Other people count sheep. I count tears in the lap of an imaginary girlfriend who is a dramatic actress. That's who my imaginary girlfriend is. Dramatic actress. And then in the other part of the fantasy, I start to teach her about comedy. So I guess my fantasy includes mansplaining. Perfect. So I'm about to enter one of these fantasies, and then I get really angry with myself, and I say, this is just a fantasy. This isn't real. Your whole life is a fantasy. And then I get depressed, and then I fall back into the fantasy, and then I doze, and then I don't really fall asleep, and then the sun comes out. And I don't have a curtain, so as soon as the sun comes out, I can't fall asleep. Now, could I get a curtain? Rather easily. Could I get a girlfriend? Well, according to many people around me, rather easily. But I'm not doing these things. Could I get a girlfriend rather easily? Perhaps. My concern is that that the chances of it being a successful relationship are incredibly slim. And if you want to know why I think they're slim, reference my fantasy that I just told you about. I have not put on my Tinder looking for someone who won't mind me crying in their lap. I should. To be honest, to give 100% transparency. But maybe that doesn't exist. I'm almost 40. Maybe there comes a point where, you know what, other people should be crying in my lap by this point, because I should have made it by now. I should be successful. I should have my shit together. Pushing 40, living like I'm 20. So that's happening. I'm having some digestive trouble, as usual. I went to Pizza Rev yesterday. Rev, I presume, is short for Pizza Revolution. Here's the revelation I've made about Pizza Rev. Perhaps it means revelation, I don't know. Pizza Rev, on a Sunday at 3 in the afternoon, is where sad, depressed people go when they're sick of Subway. That's what I've learned about Pizza Rev. That is my pizza revelation, ladies and gentlemen. So I go, and I order the barbecue chicken pizza with no cheese. And the guy says, and by guy, I mean, I think he was 16. But I'm going to go ahead and call him a guy and give him that respect. The guy says, do you want to try vegan cheese? And he said, and then I said, well, what is it made out of? And he said, do you want me to go check in the back and see? If you don't know what the cheese is made out of that's not cheese, I'm going to go ahead and call that a red flag. We know what it's not, but we don't know what it is. That concerns me. It's plant-based, but we don't know beyond, or it's chemical, I don't know. But I said, all right, what the hey, I'll try it. And apparently, it's made out of something that, even though it is not actual cheese, it produces the same constipating effect as actual cheese. So they really nailed it. How does the vegan cheese taste? It tastes like cheese, almost. That's literally what it feels like. It hits my taste buds, and my taste buds are like, cheese. Wait a minute! My taste buds are like, oh, this is cheese. No, it's not. Wait just a damn minute. It's close. It's cheese adjacent. It's in orbit of cheese. It is assumed a standard orbit of cheese. But cheese, my friends, it is not. So I'm eating a barbecue chicken pizza with vegan cheese on gluten-free dough. I'm not eating a pizza. I don't know what it is I'm eating. I'm eating, I think, essentially a barbecue chicken Weeping Willow. I think that's what it is. The other thing I was told a long time ago is that there's no such thing as gluten-free bread or gluten-free dough. There's always a little bit of gluten in it. So the free is, there should be quotation marks around it. Yeah. Yeah, that's Pizza Rev for you. As you can tell, I'm in a nasty mood this morning. I'm very angry. A lot of stress in the office. Not handling it well. Not handling it well. I'll meditate and I'll get to the point where I'm like, I forgive and love everyone, and I am compassion. And then about 5 seconds later, I want to kill everyone, and I am resentment. I think I've mentioned this in previous podcasts, but if there's a way that I can achieve enlightenment through resentment, please sign me up. That's the kind of self-help book I want. Finished reading the book on depression by, I can't remember his name, but he wrote the novel Sophie's Choice, which tells you that he knows the subject rather well. He ended up being institutionalized for depression, and he was in his 60s when it happened. I read it. You know, the message that he has at the end of it is that as bad as depression is, especially in serious cases, when it just comes over you and it feels like you're drowning and there's no hope, or I'm disassociating. It feels like I'm drowning and there is no hope, that it always passes. That I've got to just batten down the hatches and that it will pass. I think that it never really passes. It just ebbs and flows. At least it does with me, and it is very circumstantial. If things are going better in life, then it ebbs. If things are not going better, it flows. What do I define as better? There's a question. Ha! There is the question. Because right now, I never feel happy. I just feel either depressed or relieved. Depressed or hoping I don't get depressed. Those are my two speeds. The other thing he said is that he believes that the root of depression very often stems from the inability or the refusal or the unwillingness to process grief at an early age. Because in his particular case, he lost his mother when he was 13. And he felt like he never really processed it. And he wonders if the root of the depression is the lack of processing a loss like that. And that is interesting, that childhood trauma formulates the root of depression. Now, in my own childhood, I mean, my uncle was shot to death by his wife when I was 3 or 4. But I don't know how much it affected me emotionally. I know it affected my dad, and that in turn affected me emotionally. And then the only other thing is my mom was sick when I was 13, but got better. And where that's concerned, I don't know if it's a situation where that affected me emotionally or it didn't affect me emotionally, and I've spent the last few years trying to make it affect me emotionally so I can find a reason to blame someone other than myself. It's probably a combination of the two. This is getting deep, man. This is getting really deep. This is getting deep and dark, man. You're really trudging the depths. I probably was affected when she almost died. I was. I think I still am. I think that between that, and the other thing that happened is I always had, whenever I would try to make friends, it never worked out. And whenever people would want to be my friends, it never felt right either. So I always felt isolated. So I think that that plus my mom's getting sick, I think I created this dialogue, the story in my head of me saying, you're always going to be alone. And don't bother trying to open up to people. Or don't bother trying to have relationships because they're never going to work. And even if they do, they will leave you. And now, all these years later, as I'm getting older and wiser, I've come to the realization that that story is 100% correct. Well, I'm enjoying myself. I don't know how you're feeling about this, but I'm enjoying myself. Vegan cheese, man. Boy, that's how they should advertise it. It gives you everything that real cheese gives you. The taste, the constipation. Vegan cheese. Vegan cheese. Vegan cheese. You know how I would describe the taste? It's like any sci-fi or fantasy TV episode where one of the characters has been secretly replaced by another character and all the other characters are starting to suspect something. I don't know, guys. Buffy's not acting her normal self. Something's up. That's what it is. That's what it feels like to me. Or like that episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where the aliens abduct Picard and they replace him with a duplicate, and the duplicate's just a little bit off. That, my friends, is exactly what vegan cheese is like. That is precisely what it is like. I'm glad we have this talk. I don't know what voice that is. I'm glad we have this talk. It's kind of like that. It's like the 1920s speech. Is it Jimmy Durante? Is that who I'm doing? I've never even seen a movie of his. You see? Wise guys, you see? Yeah. How did that happen? Where did that come from? A wise guy, huh? Yeah. You a wise guy, huh? Were there people who actually talk like that 24/7? How you doing today? Well, I'm feeling all right. Got a little bit of constipation. Tried this vegan cheese, man. This vegan cheese. The kid said you wanted some vegan cheese. I said, you a wise guy? He is turning into the Penguin. But yeah, it's that 1920s gangster thing. Yeah, I got the barbecue chicken pizza. With a vegan cheese. And the gluten-free dough. Wise guy. My podcast has been described as hypnotic. The person who said this, I think, was trying to make a compliment. But I don't know if that's... I mean, I don't know. Should people be meditating to this? Wise guy. I feel like that's going to take you right out of the meditation. All right, well, I'm at my destination now. This was fun. I think we learned a lot. It got a bit deep, didn't it? It got it deep. That's something.